Now, wherever you grew up, being the only person with your accent in a workplace can feel very isolating. And according to a campaign group called Cockney Cultures, workplace discrimination is alive and well if you're from East London. They are hosting a months-long, what is called an observance of Cockneydom, and they say the Cockney identity is now under threat from bias, prejudice and ignorance. A panel of professionals who work in advertising, media and fashion all spoke at one of the group's events about the challenges of getting into those industries with a Cockney accent. One said people tend to think you're a bit of a joker or a geezer, and he gets laughed at for saying all right instead of hello, and also for dropping his T's. You might think that in this day and age, accents really don't matter, don't we? Celebrate all those different regional accents, and it's a long time since received pronunciation was the only thing we heard on the TV or radio. But it seems that in many workplaces, prejudice around accents is still very much a thing, and maybe you're somebody who says the Cockney accent is still the one that causes all the mockery. Vine at bbc.co.uk is the email. Do text us 88291 or send us a WhatsApp message. Going to speak to David Hallam, former member of the European Parliament for Shropshire and Herefordshire, who grew up in Hackney, London, and also Thomas Skinner, star of The Apprentice, managing director of Bosch Beds. So David Hallam, first of all, do you think it's a thing?
I think it's very much a thing. I've experienced it practically all of my adult life. I remember when I went for a job in 1971, just after leaving college. There were two of us up for interview. The one who got the job was the one with a posh accent. And as I went through life, even working for the BBC, I was told I must never, ever read the news for my local radio station because my voice didn't have authority.
Which was the station then?
That was the station, yeah.
No, what was the local radio station? Which one?
It was BBC CWR.
Okay, so it wasn't, Glasgow or anything, it was... No,
this was in the Midlands. I mean, this was just round the corner from... I was just round the corner from you at Grafton House, where they were doing the radio and television training.
Sure.
Yeah, you probably did it yourself.
Yeah, well, I remember there was somebody on our course who had a Cockney accent, and they just said you can be anything except a newsreader.
Yeah, that's what they said to me. In fact, they told me I should be like Monty Modlin.
Okay.
I don't know if you remember Monty Modlin. Well, you're probably too young to remember him.
But that sounds posh to me.
Yeah.
Is that right? Stay with us, David. Okay. You don't sound that Cockney to me, though. Thomas Skinner, star of The Apprentice. Do you feel you've got a Cockney accent?
I don't know, it's just the way I talk, Jeremy. I don't know, maybe a little bit.
A little bit, you have. Let's just go back to David. How come you lost the Cockney accent, David?
Oh, I moved up to Birmingham and I learned to speak proper.
Oh, it's such a shame. Thomas Skinner, you've kept yours.
He's kept his, my goodness.
I've still got mine, yeah.
So it's a good thing.
Yeah, listen, I love the way I talk. All my mates talk like it. Everyone around my way talks like it. It's just the way we talk, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, I hear that accent a lot because I live in the southeast. I've never had any issues with it, but Thomas, it sounds as if it counts against people.
Yeah, so, look, I mean, I'm quite big on Twitter, and every morning I'll do a video, like where I'm in my warehouse, sending me beds out of my vans, or if I've got a new company selling coffee, I'm packaging the coffee, and I advertise on Twitter quite a bit, and I always get, 90% of tweets are always positive and good luck to you, but people seem to think that I'm thick because the way I talk, you know?
Yeah.
And
It's so interesting, David, isn't it? Why is that? Why is that not the case with other regional accents, David?
I think there's a real snobbishness in London because if you've got the received standard English or you're a public school or something, you're very close to Cockneys and it's very easy to identify them. And we appear in films and plays and there's always the cheerful Cockney geezer on the one hand or the Cockney spiv. And so people do put us down, very much so.
I suppose if you think about, TV and movies, you've got a classic would be Charlie Drake, wouldn't it? That character, or even the Minder, Arthur Daly character, Thomas.
Yeah. And we're not all like that.
Go on, David. Yeah, sorry. I'm trying to interrupt two Cockneys. That's a very dangerous thing.
You shouldn't interrupt two Cockneys.
Go on, David. You go first.
Right, well, I just think there is this real prejudice against us. But I think this is actually quite serious because, okay, there's prejudice against us. I can't even say the word prejudice. I can't even say the word. There's prejudice against us, working class people from the East End of London. But multiply that if you're black as well, or if you're Asian and you've got something different about you, you don't get into these industries. And so consequently, we're just the tip of an iceberg of discrimination that works throughout the whole of our society. And when I was in the European Parliament and suddenly started speaking through interpretation, I just realised people were taking me much more seriously than I'd ever been taken in
How interesting.
Britain.
How interesting.
Because, of course, I was talking through interpretation. They didn't know what accent I had.
So, Thomas, what do you find there's pressure on you to I don't know, to change the words or change the sound of your voice or whatever?
Yeah, I mean, I was very lucky. I went on The Apprentice, and it sort of streamlined my business so people know who I am now. But definitely before I was on the telly, like when I was trying to do deals, and I've always known as a market trader and trying to get into big hotels, which we do now. Obviously, back then they wouldn't take me seriously, and I think it's probably half the things was the way I spoke.
It's not. You brought race into it, David, but it's more. It's about the white working class. This, isn't it? And it's about. I don't know if anyone's seen that documentary on the Jeremy Kyle show, but that's where very much where this was focused.
Well, in fact, I write about that. I'm the TV reviewer for the Methodist Recorder, as it happens these days. And I actually write about that. And it was very interesting that here was somebody who was trying to get into TV, and she was taking it on because she was rough and working class, because she could talk to those people in that way. It's really patronising, the way they treat people with working class accents.
Thank you both. Lovely to talk to you, as always.
Thanks.
Cheers,
Okay,
David
mate.
Hallam.
Okay.
Cheers. See ya.
Goodbye.
Former MEP, and Thomas Skinner, who is the managing director of Bosch Beds. And this is all about the Cockney accent. Jules is in Essex and says, I once had an interview for a job and was successful. And a few months later, while I was sitting in the MD's office, I was told I nearly didn't get the job due to my Essex twang. I was absolutely shocked, considering I was interviewed by somebody with a very northern accent. You should never judge a book by its cover. Do call us if you've got a really good Cockney accent and tell us whether it's been an advantage or a disadvantage. Chris is in Billericay. Billy. He says, I've worked in the city for many years. It's fair to say I've got a pretty strong Essex accent. I worked at one place that was particularly posh, and my boss was talking about how I could do well and offered to pay for me to have elocution lessons. And I said no. But sometimes I think I should have tried that. Brian Gray just underlines the seriousness of this. He says, I've got a Cockney accent myself, and all my life, the accent has prevented me from getting a career. Later in life, at the age of 44, I qualified at bar school as a barrister, but then the accent prevented me from becoming a barrister. I'm 70 now, and I still suffer the same prejudice.